Welcome to church, everybody. How are we doing? Good. Good to have you here. All right, I want to set the scene. You're home for Christmas. The hustle and bustle of everyday life has happened. You're back in a room. Your living room's packed with decorations. You're with your family. It's filled with loved ones. And the fight for the most comfy lump on the cushion on the sofa has happened, and everyone's sitting down. And you lift your remote. What are you putting on? I know we're a thinking church, but you're allowed to actually answer this one. What's on your list? What's happening before Christmas? What are we watching? Christmas Vacation? Oh my gosh, I know. I really wanted to do a sermon on Christmas Vacation. I got to tell you. I was like, are we doing this? Are we doing it? Okay, I don't know. Oh my goodness. I love that line from the wife that says, I don't know what to say except it's Christmas and we're all in misery. Oh my gosh, what a great line. It hits different when you're a dad. You know, when you're a parent, the whole house is burning down, and he just zooms in on the dad, and he just goes, "I did it." And you know what? You did. Good job, man. That's you got a generation here and generation here, and you're standing. All right, that's good. All right. What else? What's on your list? What's on your list? Miracle on 34th Street. Okay, we have not done that one yet. We've done Jingle All the Way, but not Miracle on 34th Street. So that's a little bit backwards. My nephew. We're happy. It's happening in our house. We're watching Charlie Brown Christmas. All right. We started watching the Thanksgiving one for Thanksgiving break, and we were just like, it got done. We're like, let's just watch the Christmas one. Like it didn't even take. We weren't in November. We were still in November when we watched it. It was like, my nephew was like mad. He goes, I don't want to watch Charlie Brown Christmas. And I go, listen, dude, Charlie Brown Christmas is not something you're allowed to just not like. Okay, that's a reflection on you if you don't like Charlie Brown Christmas. So, and don't worry, I can see your concern for this child's soul. So. He was confused. He thought I was talking about something else. It was not Charlie. He liked Charlie Brown Christmas because I was about to unhome him for Christmas. But today, we're not doing Christmas Vacation as much. We're going to be doing this series, some movies about the Christmas season and talking about spiritual themes inside them. And the one I chose today is one that I'm not a very emotional person, but it gets me right here every time I watch it. I get a little emotional when I watch this movie. And I wonder if you do as well. Let's go ahead and watch this. Did you think that was going to be the movie I was showing today? No. Hey, guys, come on. It is that movie does get me. I love that movie, and I've already fallen asleep in it 3 times this Christmas season. So that's doing my fatherly duties at home and sleeping through movies with my kids. It's a bit of a tearjerker. You know what I mean? It's we all know what I'm. Okay. The Elf is a charming story of a boy who's raised by elves. Classic take on a tale, you know, Tarzan, Jungle Book, Elf, all the same movie. And then one day he realizes he doesn't really fit into their world, right? He doesn't really fit in the world, and one day he learns he doesn't fit in the world because he's not of their world. He doesn't belong to that world. He actually has a dad down in Manhattan, and he gave him up when he was a child, and worst of all, he's on the naughty list, right? And so he decides, I'm going to go on a great adventure, a life-changing journey that took him through the 7 levels of the Candy Cane Forest, through the sea of swirly, twirly gumdrops, and then out through the Lincoln Tunnel, right? We've all been here. We've seen this movie. And here's what's amazing about the movie Elf. Pretty quickly, when you start watching this movie, you realize the way the guy dresses is the least strange thing about him. He stands out in the world around him far less because of his clothes than he does with the way he lives his life. And it's funny to me that this movie became so quickly a Christmas classic. It's like, it came out when I was in high school, and now it's like on people's lists. We got to watch it every time. We got to watch it all the time. And I think the reason is because it has all the juxtapositions that you see in Christmas. That Christmas is all about these juxtapositions. And when we read the Bible's Christmas story, we see all these juxtapositions as well. We see people looking for a place to stay. The lowly finding favor, the needy getting in good with those people they meet, and the people in high position living in a shocking insecurity. We see that in the Bible story, and we also see it in the book of Elf. Leroy Lawson was a preacher, and he had a commentary on Matthew, and he quotes a guy saying this: "I hate Christmas anyhow. It turns everything upside down." And Lawson goes on to say, "It certainly does. What a story. A king defeated by a baby, a throne overthrown by a manger, a power drained of its strength by weakness, craftiness outsmarted by innocence, and ambition ambushed by selflessness. Christmas is all about, it is all about the juxtapositions that happens in life and how God works in and through them. And what we see with Buddy the Elf is this, that he is a man who lives with Christmas joy in a world gone sad. He is a man who just decides, I'm going to live with joy. And before I move on to this, I just want to say this. This is not going to be a sermon about how we all should be slap happy all the time. That's not what we're talking about. But there is a sense in our Christian lives where we should have a sense of buoyancy in our lives. A sense of, I can face hardship and come out standing up straight. I can face sadness and deal with it and move forward with my life. There should be a sense of buoyancy that we live with. Peter says that we should live in such a way that people ask us, what's the reason for the hope that you have? What's the reason for the hope that you have? Because we're choosing joy in a world gone sad. And when we see this, we realize that Buddy dresses strange, but he lives even stranger. And everywhere he goes, he meets people where they are just sad. And for whatever reason, he's joyful. Because and this is something our culture desperately needs to hear. I once heard a comedian tell a joke. It said like this: why are we drugging depressed people? It's the happy people who are insane. Which, first of all, it's a funny joke. I get it. Ha ha. But then, let me get it straight. Let me get this straight real quick. First, we listened to the comedians because they told us our God was stupid and a waste of time and almost definitely fake. And we decided to start living the way they've told us to live, and then our lives start falling apart. And then the depression set it in. And then it started becoming more and more normal in our lives, in our world around us. And then when all of us stopped and looked at the massive failure of following that guy's advice, he goes, well, this is just how life is. That's the normal thing to do. It's normal to be depressed. Why don't we just normalize people being depressed all the time? Why don't we not do that? How about we don't go down that road? How about we be people who are willing to stand up in the face of a deluge of sadness coming into our world, and we say, no, I'm going to live with joy. I'm going to face my trials with joy. I'm going to face my hardship with joy. And I'm going to deal with this life and have a buoyancy about me that comes from the hope of Jesus. Why don't we do that? Because in the Christmas story, we see people facing hardship all over the place. And here's the thing. Most of us need to hear this. We're not sad because of the circumstances that have happened to us. We're sad because of us. We have not developed the skills needed to say, hey, how do I live in joy? In the Bible, we see a young girl named Mary who has to go to Bethlehem to be counted because Caesar has said there's going to be a census. I need everyone to go to their hometown to be counted. And why he chose Christmas to be the time of the year he did that, I don't know. But you don't. Okay, whatever. Her first pregnancy goes from bad to worse. All right. First of all, she has to get news from this angel that she's going to be pregnant, and she has to go tell her fiance. That's never a good conversation to have. And Joseph, after some cajoling, comes around to the idea that this baby's going to be from God and not any sort of funny business. And they say, hey, let's make this work. Let's make it work. And then that's when Caesar starts throwing his weight around, and he goes, fruit basket mix-up, and he throws it up. And he says, I want everyone to just scatter across the world. I want everyone to just go charging to different parts of the map. And so everyone has to start changing location. Everyone has to start traveling. And Mary and Joseph have to go to Bethlehem. By the time they get there, the inns are full, their families' houses are full, everything is full, and they are finally told by somebody, hey, you can stay in our barn. And that's where they stay. And that's the time the baby decides to get born. I don't know if you've ever been pregnant like I am all the time. But I keep telling Megan, hey, this is from God. And she's not believing it. But if you've ever had a pregnant person in your household, you know you can't make the baby come. The baby comes when it comes, and you can do the whole eat eggplant, walk a mile around the park. It's just going to come when it wants to come. And it came on that night. And that first night, guess what? People kept showing up. These dirty, smelly shepherds heard news from an angel choir. Hey, there's a baby. Go see him. And they come see him. And Mary's welcoming him in. And Joseph's like, I just want everyone to leave. And they won't leave. And that's how their life works. And yet, here's what the Bible says. Mary responded to all this situation in her life. this bad to worse type scenario, it says this, but Mary treasured up these things and pondered them in her heart. Regardless of what life threw at her, regardless of what life gave her, she treasured the scenario. She treasured the life that she had. Meanwhile, at the very same time, there's this other guy. This guy who's living in a palace. He's living behind the safety of his palace guard, behind very high walls. He's not open to the elements. He's not in danger of anything. He is living with everything you could ever need. And these three wise men show up and they ask him a very simple question. Where's the one born King of the Jews? We have come to worship him. And the Bible says, when King Herod heard this, he was disturbed. And all Jerusalem with him. Regardless of what life had given him, he was not happy. Regardless of all that he had, just wasn't there. And let me ask you a question. Why does it say all Jerusalem was disturbed with him? Well, I'll tell you, Herod was a crazy guy. He was just absolutely off the wall nuts. It was joked that it would be better to be his pig than his child. But the reason Jerusalem's sad is because when the way that we live, the joy that we choose to live in, or the sadness we choose to live in, does not sit there with us. It spills out into the world around us. And so all Jerusalem's disturbed because he's disturbed. Why? Oh no, the king's mad. What's he going to do? Oh no, the people are mad. What are they going to say? Oh no, mom's mad. Dad's mad. What are they going to do? Oh no, the boss is mad. Is he just going to fire everybody? Oh no, they're mad. What are they going to do? And the reason people get upset and nervous when you start getting upset and nervous is because they know that's going to spill out over everywhere. The way that we choose to live, it does not just stick with us, it spills out into those around us. And we saw how Jerusalem, what Herod was going to do. It says this in Matthew. It says, he was furious. He gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem in the vicinity who were 2 years old and younger. Talk about spilling out into the world around you. And everything that these two go through, Mary treasures up her life. Is glad and welcoming to the scenario. And Herod was disturbed and furious. Neither one was happy or sad because of their circumstances. They were happy or sad because of who they were. But when we watch Buddy the Elf dealing with his life, you know what's funny about the movie Buddy the Elf? All we ever remember, and Michael's talked about this earlier this morning, all we ever remember is how he sort of overacts everything. How everything's just over the top. Everything's over the top, happy and fun, and just he's eating cotton balls and all that sort of stuff. But he deals with his own dejection. He deals with his own sadness, his own feeling of lostness and loss, and realizing he doesn't have a home where he lives, and all. He deals with all of it, and yet he chooses to live with joy. And when he finds himself in Manhattan, he is wandering the streets, homeless. He has nowhere to stay. Here's a perfect picture of the juxtaposition of these two characters: a businessman in a suit and him sleeping in his storefront. He doesn't have anything, and yet he has all the joy. And meanwhile, his father is working as an executive of a publishing business. He's working at the very top of the Empire State Building with a 34th Street address. He has all the things that you and I would slobber all over, and yet when we see him, we find him to be a very sad man. Nothing is working. And what's fascinating is he also doesn't have any of the freedom that you would think that position would come with. He's chained to his desk. He can't come and go as he pleases. He's going to have to work Christmas Eve. He's constantly worried he's going to get fired, even though he's this big executive and everybody works under his good pleasure. He can fire people, but he's also constantly worried that he's going to be fired himself. And what you find is, between he and Buddy, Buddy's the one with all the joy, all the security, all the benefits of living life. And though he has everything you could ever ask for, he's living in complete and shocking insecurity. And the great question at the heart of this movie is this: who's going to win? When Buddy's joy spills into the world around him, and this guy's sadness spills into the world around him, who's going to win? Which one's going to be stronger? And when we see how Buddy acts, we realize the way he lives this battle out is that he has a game plan. And with this, the next thing we see with Buddy the Elf in the movie The Elf is this. It reminds us that Christmas is a singing holiday. Isn't that funny? That Christmas is a singing holiday? That as we open up our storehouse and we dust off our winter clothes to bring them back out for the winter, we also dust off our winter music. We also bring out the music we listen to once a year to remind ourselves that, hey, we're going to be singing. We're going to be singing through this holiday. And that's because Christmas is a worshiping holiday. It's the emblem of joy out there. That when we look at the story of Christmas, we think, wow, that's a story that reminds me of good times and joy and happiness. And here's what's fascinating. If you take the feelings that we have about Christmas and the story in the Bible and the shepherds and the wise men and the manger, all that sort of stuff, and we take those feelings that give us and we superimpose it over the story beats of the story, we realize there's nothing in the story that says joy. There's nothing in the story that just says, hey, this is all wonderful, because a lot of it is kind of bad. A lot of it is kind of hardship and dealing with hardship in their lives. The reason we think of Christmas as a joy season is because the people in the story constantly chose to be joyful. And the way they do it is by worshiping. The entire Christmas story in the Bible is about worship. People hear about God. They hear that something's happening that night, and they go and worship. The whole tale is a tale of call and response. God calls people, and they respond in worshiping. They find the shepherds, and they go see the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, and they go and worship. The Magi walk across the Middle East to go worship the baby. Mary treasures these things in her heart. When she heard she'll be with a child, she sat down and she sang the words, "My soul magnifies the Lord." It's all about worship. And the one character who doesn't worship is the one character who vows to murder the newborn king. And here's what's really weird. For 2,000 years, Christians have participated in something called group singing. And there was a time in history, not that far ago, where people would stand around a piano and they would just sing. And you would see these movies where people would stand around a piano and they'd just be at a dinner party and they're all dressed up, they're just singing together, and you go, wow, it must be that everyone back then was just great singers. Not necessarily. It was just normal. And then something happened. The radio happened. And we started hearing what real singing sounds like. And we hear Mariah Carey and all these people and we go, wow, okay, that's what it really sounds like to sing. Okay. And instead of going, gee, what a great singer that is, that's wonderful, we started saying, well, if I can't sing like that, I'm not going to sing at all. We professionalized it away from us. And every single week, we Christians, we sit there, we come together, and we listen to the preaching of the gospel and the singing of worship songs. And that's just a normal thing Christians have done for 2,000 years. And yet, right under our noses, without even like being malicious or trying to or being mean or anything, our culture has professionalized half of that away from us. A very normal thing that Christians do. Sing in a group with people to worship our God. And now we're just a nation. And I get it. I'm right there with you. We're a nation and a culture that's embarrassed to sing out loud. And that's half of what we do every Sunday when we gather as Christians. It's funny, we're actually living through the professionalization of social media. When I got Instagram for the first time, what Instagram was an amateur photography social media site. I would take a picture. That's my best shot at photography today. Here's a building in downtown Savannah. I'm going to put the filter on it. And my friends would look at it and go, that's a good picture. I like it. Great lighting, blah, blah, blah. And now all of our interaction with social media has been relegated to what? What are the professionals doing? What are the professionals doing? I follow people. I don't care what those losers are putting up there. They don't know how to put anything good up there. What are the professionals doing? We're even professionalizing social media away from us. Isn't that weird? But what Buddy the Elf reminds us, and what the Christmas story reminds us, is that Christmas is a singing holiday. And Buddy has this weapon in his arsenal in the face of everyone's sadness around him. And that is this. the best way to spread Christmas cheer is singing loud for all to hear. And the climax of the movie comes down to this moment where we go, what's going to happen? Who's going to win out? Is it going to be this man's sadness finally collapsing Buddy into his sadness where we have made him join us? Or are all the different sad people and all the different lots of life that he found along the way going to have his joy spill into their lives? And then we get to the climax where Santa has crashed in Central Park. The police are chasing him. Buddy's trying to get the sleigh working again. And his brother's out there and a bunch of cynical adults trying to get them to believe in Santa again so his sleigh will fly. And the battle happens between joy and sadness right here. Doesn't that just get you? Doesn't it? I can't. That scene gets me every single time. Christmas is a singing holiday. And I love that moment at the end. Okay, whoever wrote this film obviously grew up, at least went to church with his grandparents, right? That's such a church thing. You look over and you go, you're not singing, you're just moving your lips. Come on. We've all called our dad on that, haven't we? We all did it. And here's what I love. When does it all happen? When the dad starts worshiping too. Here's what's cool. I love the look on the reporter's face when she sees Santa for the first time. Because we all want to believe, don't we? We all wish it was true. And the greatest thing about Christmas is that it's real. That we really did have a newborn king. That he really did come to bring peace on earth and mercy mild. And that sinners and God were really going to be reconciled. That he really did visit our earth on that night. And the angels did come to the shepherds and say, go see the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes and worship him. The best thing about Christmas is that it's real. The Bible says that God wrote eternity on the human heart. That what we desperately want is for God to be real and for God to be with us. And we sing at Christmas time because it is real. I said something earlier that wasn't appropriate. I said the only reason that we think about Christmas as being the emblem of joy is because the characters inside of it constantly chose joy. And that's true enough as far as it goes. But the real thing that brings joy to the world is the totality of what God was doing with the Christmas story. What God was doing when he sent his son to live among us on earth as a human. The prophet Isaiah said, the people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. And because of that we sing. We sing for joy. We choose joy in a world gone sad. Because we have God. We were walking in darkness, and he gave us a great light. And when we choose to enter into the relationship with God with joy, we can let that joy spill out into the world around us. And I pray that when we do, joy will win.